Hello, Goddess. So this week, the topic is overwhelm, which is so perfect because this is just a very overwhelming time. It is the holidays. If you live in the States, we have Thanksgiving coming up, plus we have then just a few weeks for Christmas. And I don't really have to explain anymore. It's just a very overwhelming time. So I want to give you some tips to help you deal with overwhelming times because they don't just happen right now. And I want to give us a practice where we're gonna make our own healing sugar scrub, or salt scrub for this one, but it can be used for both, okay? So that's what we're gonna do today for our lesson. But first I wanna say that when we're overwhelmed, we tend to go into this fight or flight mode, right? We either completely retreat and we give up and we just do nothing and we feel paralyzed, low energy, very stressed, or we just fight and we just go nonstop and completely deplenish ourselves, wreaking havoc on our adrenal glands. So it's not a good space to be in at all. Trust me, I have completely been there, and I've had to learn the hard way to slow down no matter how busy you think you are, okay? Definitely, we just want to slow down because what happens when we're completely overwhelmed and we're coming from this space of fight or flight is that we start to rewire our brain. So we start to think differently and we start to react differently, and this then carries over to even if the overwhelming scenario that's happening in our life stops, our brains have been rewired. So it's about rewiring our brains and being very cognizant, mindful of what's going on and how we're reacting. So one of the tips that I really want to give you today, to really stand with you today, is to take that time for yourself. It's so important, no matter how busy you think you are, whether that's 5 minutes or that's 10 minutes, but to check in and to be truly mindful of those. So what I want to do is I want to get into a little bit before we talk a little bit more about being overwhelmed and what to do and different crystals to use. I just want to kind of show you what I do, okay? So we're gonna make a scrub today. This one happens to be bath salts. Sometimes I use sugar if I wanna do all over, okay? This one that I picked for us has magnesium in it, so it's going to help just calm us down. We're gonna sleep better because of course when we're very overwhelmed and stressed out, it does affect our sleep, right? So we're going to get this out. And what I do with this is normally I'll make a batch. So I will pour this all into a bowl, but for us, we're gonna just do one. And we just fill this up with the salt, okay? I love, 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 love this salt. You can find it at Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, I don't know what exactly you have near you, but this is a deep magnesium salt, and it just is used to detoxify our body and help to calm our body, okay? So we're just gonna fill up our jar with this salt, and then we're gonna use like an organic olive oil that you want to use. Grapeseed oil is nice too. You can even use the fractionated coconut oil. That is a little bit more expensive, but it's fractionated, so it's runny like the olive oil, and there's no smell at all to it, where sometimes olive oil can have a smell to it. And then we're gonna pour that in, and it's gonna depend on the consistency that you like. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see. So just kind of letting it kind of soak in. Some people like a very small amount of oil in there, and some like a lot for this oil. Now this can also just be dumped into your bath, okay? Now Serenity is a super calming blend. So is lavender, and so is chamomile. So what we're gonna do is whatever blend you choose for your oil is you're just going to add that to it. About, depending on how much you like. I tend to do a lot. Some people in recipes will recommend 5 to 10. I normally do 20 to 30 drops, but I really love the oil in there, okay? We're gonna mix it around. And again, you can do this in a bowl and mix it first, which probably works a little bit better, or you can do it afterwards. Now, this is also amazing, like I was saying, to add to your bath or to just do, oh my gosh, on your feet. I also actually give these for presents to all my children's teachers and bus drivers during the year too, because it's quick, it's simple, it's handmade, and it's very healing. Now, for Overwhelm, let's go to the crystals because we're gonna add one to this. This is aquamarine. And aquamarine is one of the crystals that I suggest to use for Overwhelm because it carries the energy of water with it. It is related to our throat center. It's very calming, but it also is the stone of courage, right? And when we're overwhelmed and thoughts are running rampant in our head, we tend to need that courage to keep going. We need the calmness so that we're coming from that place of calm rather than being very frazzled. So anyway, it is on the Mohs hardness scale of 8 or above, so it can be put into your oil and then into your bath. So I'm going to place it with the intention of peace and calm. And when we give our crystals the intention, it's like programming them. It's giving them a little job. It's making it a little bit more specific for them, okay? Really nice to do these also over the full moon to charge them up, but not necessary at all. And then we can kind of put our cap on and we can kind of shake it around. And this is your sugar or salt, whichever one you choose to use scrub for Overwhelm. This is what you can pull out when you map a little bit of time for yourself. And you can do it with that intention of, I've set the intention just for myself to become more centered, to become more aware of my thoughts, and to calm myself down. Because we don't want overwhelm to then turn into something traumatic, right? We want to take that time to care for ourselves when we're feeling scattered and when we're feeling overwhelmed, because I promise you will come back to all the activities will still be there, but you'll come back from a place of being a little bit more centered. So the next part of the assignment is to actually make a list. And when you do this list, you're going to do 2 columns, okay? And so in this column, the first one is going to be everything that you have to do. And you can do it for that week or for that month or for that day, whichever one you choose. But you're going to make this list of everything that you have to do. And I know it's going to be backwards on the camera, so I won't even show you. But we're going to write down our list. And then on the other side, we're going to write down what can wait. What is not absolutely imperative? What can we wait on? And the other thing is when we have this list, it is so nice and it feels so good when we cross things off the list. And it helps us to stay more focused and more energized. So that's my second little takeaway for when you're feeling overwhelmed, okay? I also made a nice little affirmations for you to say when you're feeling really overwhelmed, when you're being mindful and you're watching your mind loop and continue with the same thoughts and the same worries, to come back to and just to remember that you are enough. And you are only responsible for your thoughts, your actions, and your feelings. You are not responsible for everybody else's, only yourself. So in doing so, you can remind yourself that part of being responsible for yourself is to take this time to truly just connect and to care for yourself. Okay, so another one is I'm filled with peace and love. And you can even just keep saying that. I'm filled with peace and love. I'm filled with peace and love. And the last one that I just love is that I'm doing the best that I can and I am enough. So you can say these to yourself and really do that mirror work where you're even stopping and looking in the mirror, writing the affirmations around where you can see them. I am enough and I am doing the best that I can. I am enough and I am doing the best that I can. And to remind yourself that you truly are enough and what your intentions are. Okay, so for my crystal recommendations for Overwhelm, there's many. Okay, and you might even resonate with different ones. So I just want to say that so you know, just because I give you these tips, they aren't the only ones, but ones that I love personally. So try them out for yourself. Get your pendulum out, see what crystals resonate with you. This is a raw smoky quartz. I love smoky quartz for when you're feeling overwhelmed because it's super grounding. It brings you back to that present moment. But it also absorbs and deflects unwanted energies, the energies that are making you overwhelmed, that feel so frazzled and out of control. This is an excellent stone for when you're feeling overwhelmed, is smoky quartz. Okay. The other one, of course, was aquamarine, which we added to our scrub. Okay, so that's in our scrub. I also love carnelian. This is a gorgeous carnelian slab that I got when I was down in Sedona. The reason I love carnelian so much when you're feeling overwhelmed is because you can be very depleted when you're overwhelmed. Your creative energy can become completely stifled or stagnant. That whole sacral chakra of ours can just shut down. And we can become very tired. So carnelian is a life force energy stone. It's connected with our sacral chakra, so it helps to open up our creative side, and it's very fluid as well. So carnelian is a big recommendation of mine. So we have aquamarine, carnelian, we have smoky quartz. Here's another smooth carnelian that I have. And rose quartz, because when we are overwhelmed, I know I always go back to rose quartz, but it's such an important stone, you guys, to remember to care and to love ourselves. So those are my crystal recommendations. And if you need help with any of those, of course, feel free to contact me. And I have a list of 8 things for when you're feeling completely frazzled and overwhelmed. 1, drink some tea with mindfulness, some chamomile, some tea that really resonates with you and calms you down. But it's all about the intention, and it's about you taking the time when you have no time, when you are overwhelmed, but you're taking some time for some nourishment, and you're giving back to yourself. And tea is just very calming to have. Go for a walk, and it does not need to be a power walk or exercise, but it's more about changing the scenery and getting out in the fresh sky, the crisp air, and the sun, and boosting your chi, boosting that life force energy to give yourself some more energy, right? So even if it's just 5 minutes around the block, but it is about that movement, okay? Take a bath with our scrub that we made, and that might need to be before bed when the kids aren't around, depending on your life. And remember, it's okay if you only have 10 minutes, because I used to stop myself all the time if I didn't have 20-30 minutes to just lounge in my bath, and then I just wouldn't do it at all. And what I've learned is even 10 minutes for myself really helps to reset myself. So there's our bath, okay? Number 4 is to rewire our brain in using those affirmations I gave you, but also in mantra, in that Sanskrit mantra. And I love Om Shanti. It's spelled Shanti, Om Shanti. and it just means peace. Om Shanti. Which brings me to our next one, which is meditation. And if you have a mala, it would be really nice for Om Shanti to be your mantra as you're meditating with your mala. Okay, so for each one, you're going over and you're saying Om Shanti, and you're invoking the energy of peace. And so that goes with my meditation. And number 6 is just letting go what you can't control, and even journaling that. You know, you've made your list, and here's my list, and then taking the time to just let go of what needs to be let go of without guilt. Without any guilt. And the last one, number 8, is just to be mindful of those thoughts so that you can replace them. The more mindful we are of our thoughts and not attaching to our thoughts, and certainly not feeling guilty or beating us up for our thoughts, just recognizing them for what they are. They are just your thoughts, okay? And they can be replaced. And this is what's going to help to rewire our brain. So when a negative thought comes up, you can replace it with Om Shanti, or you can replace it with one of those mantras or those affirmations that I gave you. So many blessings this week, and when you're feeling overwhelmed, you've got some tools. Namaste.